Fresh observations from Hawaii's Gemini Observatory North have just uncovered something that deepens the mystery surrounding the three-eye atlas. The data indicates that this interstellar traveler might not be journeying through the cosmos alone. Several smaller bodies appear to be accompanying the primary object, each following a path that stays astonishingly close to three-eye atlas itself. These are not faint smudges caused by optical distortion or lens interference. What we are seeing are distinct, confirmed points of light moving together through the emptiness that lies between worlds. Now, as scientists, we practice extreme caution before forming conclusions. We exhaust every ordinary explanation first. Could these companions be mere fragments, pieces that separated from the main body as solar heating increased during its approach? That remains a valid possibility. Yet, there is a troubling inconsistency. If fragmentation were responsible, we would expect to see chaotic dispersion patterns, scattered debris trails, and irregular tumbling motion. Instead, what we observe is coherent, stable, and disturbingly organized in its movement. Amateur astronomers across the globe have independently confirmed this very phenomenon. Stephen Burns posted an online time-lapse showing multiple luminous points moving beside Three-Eye Atlas. A German observer known as Night Monkey recorded several distinct trajectories, each maintaining remarkable precision relative to the central body. Another researcher, Alexander Flum, noticed something equally extraordinary around the 30-second mark of his footage, a brief green flash, a diffuse glow distinctly separate from the main object, and certainly not a camera fault. That peculiar green illumination adds another layer to this enigma. Comets often appear green due to dicarbon molecules, specifically C2, fluorescing under ultraviolet sunlight. However, spectroscopic readings from Chile's Very Large Telescope indicate that Three-Eye Atlas is severely lacking in these carbon chains. Comets are fragile entities, essentially dirty snowballs made of frozen ices and loosely bonded dust that easily fracture under solar heat or gravitational pressure. A hollow comet traveling through space at speeds exceeding 100,000 miles per hour should have disintegrated long ago from sheer internal instability. Yet, this object remains completely intact. It even endured a coronal mass ejection earlier this month, a direct bombardment of charged solar plasma that, under normal circumstances, would have shattered it into countless pieces. Something within its internal architecture, some profound resilience, seems to defy the ordinary laws of thermodynamics that science has trusted for centuries. Now imagine this possibility. What if that hollow composition is not accidental, but intentional? If the object were constructed deliberately rather than formed naturally, hollowing out the core would make complete engineering sense. It would reduce overall mass while protecting sensitive inner components from radiation and impacts. Such a structure would also ensure rotational stability, a condition rarely achieved by natural, tumbling celestial bodies. If the materials used were exotic, perhaps elements or compounds unknown to our periodic table, that would neatly explain why its gravitational signature appears far weaker than anticipated. To clarify, this does not serve as proof of an artificial origin, but it suggests a subtle whisper from the cosmos, implying that our definitions, separating natural from artificial phenomena, might require a fundamental reevaluation. NASA's Neil Gerald Swift Observatory has provided yet another baffling clue to this growing mystery. Three-Eye Atlas is venting water vapor at a distance where typical comets should remain entirely dormant. Measurements indicate it is releasing approximately 88 pounds of water every second at nearly 3 astronomical units from the sunday. Most comets do not begin outgassing until they draw much closer to solar heat. Why is this visitor expelling water so early in his path? And why does that emission rate remain so unsettlingly stable? The implication becomes unavoidable. Its internal makeup, whether hollow or extensively porous, appears to be channeling thermal energy in a way we have never before observed. Meanwhile, new Gemini imagery continues to show multiple smaller companions moving in synchronized formation, as though guided by some invisible organizing principle beyond our current comprehension. If these were fragments, they display remarkable stability for debris. But if they are not, if we are witnessing distinct objects traveling in deliberate coordination, then we may be observing behavior that transcends everything previously understood about interstellar debris dynamics. Here, we arrive at the most unsettling question of all. If these accompanying bodies truly represent companions traveling beside 3I Atlas, could they be probes? Is it possible that what we are observing is not a single comet, but an entire convoy moving through our solar system with purpose beyond human understanding? As a physicist, my natural instinct urges me to resist sensational interpretations. Yet I am also a student of scientific history. Galileo was once commanded to dismiss the moons of Jupiter, for according to the established wisdom of his era, such bodies could not exist. Throughout human history, whenever we have confronted the unknown, our first reaction has always been denial. The second, arriving only later, is profound wonder. At this very moment, humanity stands suspended in that uneasy space between those two emotions. Equally disquieting is the silence from official sources. NASA, the European Space Agency, and even China's Tianwen mission all possess instruments ideally positioned to collect high-resolution data during 3I Atlas's recent close approach to Mars. Yet none have issued a single statement. Yet somehow, the scientific findings remain unpublished. The data undeniably exists, the telescopes perform flawlessly, and yet the stream of information has fallen strangely and inexplicably silent. This pattern is not without precedent. When Oumuamua entered our solar system in 2017, several spectroscopic analyses and radar readings were withheld from public release for months. When Borisov arrived in 2019, the same puzzling delay occurred once again. And now, as 3I Atlas sweeps past Mars, history seems to be repeating itself with unsettling precision. In this era of instantaneous global communication, silence itself becomes a kind of message, a statement delivered through deliberate absence. Perhaps this delay arises from mundane reasons, bureaucratic slowdowns, calibration issues, or careful institutional review of extraordinary data before public disclosure. Yet the repetition of this coincidence has become increasingly difficult to overlook. Every time an interstellar visitor challenges our basic understanding of natural law, the flow of information constricts as if a valve is being gradually turned shut. To me, as someone who has devoted a lifetime to science, this does not represent conspiracy in the traditional sense. It represents something profoundly human fear, fear of public misinterpretation, fear of premature speculation spiraling out of control, fear of confronting something truly extraordinary that refuses to fit neatly within the frameworks we have built. But science cannot advance if fear is permitted to define the limits of our curiosity. If this object proves to be natural, we will still gain immense knowledge from its study. Yet if it is not natural, if our observations point towards something greater, then we may have stumbled upon a discovery that transcends astronomy itself and touches the very question of whether humanity is alone in this vast cosmic theater. Statistically speaking, as Loeb himself has noted, there should not be enough rocky material drifting through interstellar space to deliver objects of this size into our solar system by random chance once every decade. The odds contradict the known inventory of cosmic matter cataloged throughout the observable universe. The mathematics itself has begun to whisper that something else may be unfolding, something deliberate, or at least something guided by principles we have yet to comprehend. Now consider this deeper question. If 3i Atlas truly carries multiple accompanying bodies moving in formation, if these are not scattered fragments but coordinated travelers, what does that reality imply about the universe around us? For centuries, we have operated under the assumption that humanity is the explorer, the one casting instruments into the cosmic abyss, searching for signs of others. But what if the truth runs in the opposite direction? What if we are the ones being observed? What if our increasing technological vision has merely allowed us to notice something that has been quietly watching all along? As a theoretical physicist, I do not regard this possibility as a crisis of belief or a cause for fear. I see it instead as an invitation, a call to expand the scope of science itself. Every anomaly carries within it a message concealed by its strangeness. Every irregularity poses a question we have not yet learned how to properly ask. Soon, 3i Atlas will vanish behind the sun's blinding radiance, temporarily hidden from view. But when it reemerges in December, the world will be waiting, telescopes realigned, data systems ready. Streams of information will arrive from observatories across every continent. And perhaps, if fortune favors us, that institutional silence will finally break. Until that moment, we must do what science has always required of us. Remain patient as evidence accumulates, remain cautious toward extraordinary claims, and most importantly, remain open-minded toward possibilities that disturb our comfort. The universe owes us no explanation, no conformity to our expectations. It exists as it is vast, unpredictable, and profoundly indifferent. And sometimes, just sometimes, it leaves behind a luminous green trail streaking across the darkness to remind us that the greatest discoveries never come wrapped in convenient answers. They arrive instead carrying better questions, questions that expand the limits of human understanding. Because ultimately, whether 3i Atlas proves to be a fragment of alien geology from a distant planetary system, or a fragment of alien thought intentionally sent across the interstellar void, it bears the same priceless gift. The opportunity to see ourselves once more as beginners, standing at the edge of cosmic mystery, and perhaps, just perhaps, to realize that we are participants in a far greater conversation than we ever imagined. A dialogue written not in human language, but in the graceful movements of celestial bodies dancing through the infinite expanse of space and time.